What is the common factor in all our thoughts?
Memory.
Memory is one. Okay, because it is memory is a part of every thought. Thought cannot be in the present moment. What else? Comparison. We cannot make a thought without comparing. Now, in lower thinking, there is comparing. In higher thinking, there is relativity. So, as long as we are stuck in comparing, we will never progress from lower thinking to higher thinking. It is not possible. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Still, to trigger a thought, we need a little bit of comparison. Without comparison, we cannot trigger a thought. Right? So supposing there are two people and I compare. So I've triggered the thought, this person, this person. Then I have to move into thinking without comparing. Okay, what is the function of this person and what is the function of this person? Relatively, where in my understanding is this person and where in my understanding is this person? And everybody is playing a role. Everybody is fulfilling some aspect of life. Right? So then we go to see that in this present moment, what is that person fulfilling? What role is that person playing in this drama of life? And when we move from comparative thinking to relative thinking, which is very difficult, it takes very hard work and hard practice, because automatically we will start comparing. And the more we compare, the more we are identified with comparison, we'll always remain in the lower mind. We'll never be able to move higher. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So, what is the role of this person? What role is he fulfilling in life? In my growth, does he have a role to play or not have a role to play in my growth? In my understanding, does he enrich my understanding in a way? Does he give me a new angle, a new way to see things? Right? So here we don't compare. Right? We do compare in that previously I was seeing things this way and now I'm seeing things this way. But when we compare people, then we are living in a very low part of our mind, right? And people use the path, the religious path. They will compare somebody with Tauriya side, they will compare somebody with this person, they will compare this book with this book. And they don't realize all they are doing is saying, I want to be stuck in my life, in my lower thinking, and nothing else. That is all they are saying. Everybody is playing a certain role. Everybody is fulfilling a certain aim. Right? And we have to understand that. Relativity, where is this person in my relativity? And there is not a single person on earth from whom we cannot learn something. Even the most stupid person will teach us how to be patient, right? So there is not a single person on earth from whom we cannot learn something. Right? So I just thought I'll talk about this a little before we start today. That do we want to be stuck in our lower thinking, or do we want to move to a higher form of thinking? And that higher form of thinking is there within us. It is there all the time, all 24 hours. But we love to remain in the gutter of life. We are so attached to the gutter. We've fallen so much in love with the negative side of life that we don't want to go there, even if somebody wants to show us the path of how to go. Right? So I just thought I'll talk about this a little. Okay, we'll just continue. I hope I can finish this today. I don't think we will. So yesterday we talked about the second level where we accuse ourselves, and this is the beginning of conscience, beginning of conscience. And where we are at present, like we said yesterday, we'll repeat it, that the awakening of conscience is the most beautiful happening in our lives, right? Because as the conscience grows, the inner light increases. And as the inner light increases, our understanding grows with that. So we have progressed from 96 to 48. And when we start self-observation, right, then many sensitivities in us start becoming alive in self-observation. And like we said, now we see the other once again as subject, not as object. What happens in self-observation in regards to thoughts and feelings? Subject and object.
To become the object of
our thoughts and our feelings become object. Like we are looking at the furniture, they become object. And other people's thoughts and other people's feelings become subject, because we can see our thoughts, we understand other people's thoughts and feelings very easily. We can identify with them very easily. There is the beginning of empathy within us, the beginning of real sympathy within us. Right? We will realize what it is that keeps us in the mechanical state, and a very big place of that will go to our animal nature, which keeps pulling us down into the mechanical state. Now, the food of conscience is remorse. Remorse. And here there will be, with the conscience awakening, with the Vivek awakening, remorse will come from a very different direction. If someone can think about it. I will suddenly see that now more and more glimpses of the awakening state are coming, and suddenly there'll be a deep regret inside, a deep remorse inside. How could I be asleep for so many years? Can you see? And that will pinch me inside, inside. Right? It will pinch me, pierce me inside, and it is that which will feed the conscience much more. Now, another point, because self-observation has started, we will be able to see many eyes, and we will divide eyes into work eyes and life eyes. Work, those which want to take us into higher states of consciousness, and those eyes which are all together now, which want to pull us down back to the 96 level. 96 level. Now, at this level, a certain intolerance comes in, and we must be aware of intolerant eyes, right? So, supposing I have come on this path because Tawariya Sahib has opened my vision to this path, right? Then I may be intolerant of anything except Tawariya Sahib. Can you get it? So, and because it comes in white clothing, it will not come in black clothing, it will come in white clothing. It is your duty to only follow Tawariya Sahib and nobody else. It is, and we don't realize that intolerance has worn white clothes and come to us, right? And truth cannot be anyone's possession, not even Mr. Tawariya or anyone. Mr. Tawariya realized the truth, he threw his colors in the painting of truth and he went away, right? So he has participated in the dance of truth, he has participated in the colors of truth, but only his way will lead me to the truth. Then I will be stuck in intolerant eyes and I'll never be able to rise from this second level. Right? So we must be aware at this point in time that are we getting, because there is a love for what he has taught us, there is a deep understanding for what he has taught us, but is it leading to intolerance from the back door? Then that is one of the characteristics of this state, and we have to rise above that. Right? Now, the next stage is the inspired ego, the inspired nafs. Here now we are listening to this new Vivek more and more. We are listening to the words of the work more and more. And like I said, this is where we talked yesterday about small aims and using those aims for our energy and all that. So this is the part where we start making small aims in life. This sadhana is not being taught by our guru. It is something which our own Vivek is now teaching us of how to progress in each moment of life. So we set small aims, small targets for ourselves, and each one will be like a small stepping stone to rise higher into consciousness. And because we set small targets, and every time there's a little drop of consciousness added each time, the old arrogance, the old intolerance, that obstinacy, will slowly start dissolving. In this state now, there is joy in the work. For the first time, till now, we had to follow rules, we had to, do self-observation, and sometimes we would feel it like a baggage or where we do self-observation. I was so happy in the old days watching TV the whole day, where I came into all this. I could watch TV, have lemonade and Lay's biscuits the whole day, right? And and initially there is that sense of like you're studying for an exam, you have to do it. There's that sense of have to do it. And now as we progress to the third stage, that have to do it goes away, and there is a joy in doing it. There is a feeling of love in doing it, in just the work itself. And this becomes very important, because then we are more involved in the present moment. If I have to do it like an exam, then I'm doing it for the Exactly. You understand? So we set small targets, we fulfill those small targets, and we sort of get joy in doing the work. What this, like I said, the conscience will start talking to us, and it will tell us what it wants from us. Right? What it wants from us. Many times the parents tell the children what they want from the children. Right? And so in this case, now we slowly give up our personal will and follow the will of the work. Now, initially, when we have to give up our personal will, right, there is a small part of voluntary suffering over here, right? You have to sacrifice a little. And in the initially, sacrifice may not be such a good joy, such a great joy. There may be some kind of voluntary suffering involved over here, right? I may, what do you call, want to go on a holiday somewhere, but my inner conscience tells me that no, I have to attend to 2 camps. So I have to sacrifice that. And in this initial stage of sacrifice, there may be a little bit of suffering, and we must make that suffering into voluntary suffering. But once we have tasted the joy of surrender, then that suffering will vanish automatically. So in this stage, all our ambitions in life will transform completely, right? So I will see that 1 year ago, my ambition was to earn a lot of money, right? My ambition was to become a famous person, right? Now I'll suddenly see that I need money, but I need money to fulfill a certain purpose, to make my walking on the path as easy as possible, not to bring unnecessary obstacles, unnecessary suffering into my walking on the path. But now my attitude to money changes. Attitude to money changes, right? And of course, attitude to money is a very big subject, very, very big subject. So we can talk about it some other time, but there's a right attitude to money. So now our ambitions change, our aims change. First, there was the ambition to become first in my job, right? Now there's an ambition to develop a sense of gratitude, develop a sense of compassion, develop a sense of lovingness, right? We talked yesterday about loving kindness, right? So overnight, I will see that my ambitions have changed, right? And these ambitions are not aggressive ambitions. They are not arrogant ambitions, right? And as the machine wakes up, the identification of the essence breaks. Then the machine just becomes another object to which we witness all the time. Now, the more the essence wakes up, it suddenly finds it can do many things. Till now, it could not do so many things, but now the power of doing comes into the essence over here. And this leads to sidetrack attractions, right? So the person may be what you call attracted to the occult. He may be attracted to the black magic arts. He may be attracted to predicting the future. He may be attracted to use some healing therapy to heal other people. And these are all diversions. These are all diversions, right? Because once we get identified with that, then we create a new identification, right?
Glamorous part of it.
Huh?
Glamorous part of you.
Glamorous part of the journey. This is the glamorous part of the journey. You see, sometimes, it's like this, that truth is on top of the mountain. But truth is a boring thing, right? But to go to the top of the mountain, you pass through such beautiful valleys and flowers and waterfalls, and there's nothing there on top of the mountain. You reach the top of the mountain, you reach truth, and that's it here. Well, what's there? There's nothing, and you feel so. Then you don't want to go there. You want to remain in the valley, and the valley is glamorous.
Journey is more important.
Huh?
Journey is more interesting than the destination.
Right. So there's this, what he says, the spiritual glamour, spiritual thrillingness, which is there. This energy rises from here, and this chakra opens from here, right? And I can get these smells, and I can hear these sounds, and I see these kind of psychedelic lights, and the scenery is so beautiful, right? And there's nothing up there. Barren land up there, right? So, and this attraction comes in this third state of the ego, and we must be very aware of it, that we want to go further. If we are stuck or attached to these attractions, then we will stop over here. That does not mean that you cannot understand what is happening. There may be many things in occult which you'd like to understand, right? So you can understand it, but don't want to get identified with it. Now, in this state, we will slowly get glimpses of the third force, right? In the third state. Usually, man is identified with one side of the pendulum. He cannot see that this pendulum has gathered so much of happiness, so much of momentum. It has to swing to the other side. Here the momentum is full, the speed is zero. Right? Here the speed is full, momentum is zero. And here the speed is again zero, momentum is full. Right? So he doesn't realize, and he's identified. So man does not even see the second force, but the third force is in between. And the pendulum is fastest when it is in between. That third force can only come at a certain speed of consciousness. Little lower, we won't be able to see it. Then the pendulum will go through, and we are now moving to the other extreme. So this is the space where our consciousness expands, and we start getting glimpses of the third force. But before that, we were aware of the second force. Now, let's ask a question over here. What is the relationship of negative emotion to second force? What is the relationship of negative emotion to second force?
You are not able to see the second force if you have. It's a reciprocal relationship. It invites the second force.
It invites the second force. Can you see second force is the obstacles, tamaguna, right? Second force, the obstacles which come in my life, tamaguna. Now, force is force. Force is force. If force goes through a red wire, it becomes which guna? Rajaguna, right? If force goes through a green wire, it becomes sattva guna. And if it goes through a black wire, it becomes tamaguna. It's the same electricity which comes in our homes. Red wire this, the black wire this, green wire that, right? Now, every time I'm negative, which wire am I accumulating in my safe deposit locker? The black wire. So the future wants to come to meet me. The very meaning of the word Jyotish is that the future is a momentum which we can see, right? So the future wants to come to meet me, but it can only come through all these black wires which I have accumulated in my safe deposit vault. Can you see? And those, every time I give a negative emotion, I go into 96. One roll of black wire increases. Right? So I'll say, oh, I went for this interview. I was the best qualified for this job, but somehow I did not get this job. Right? Why did you get this job? Because you have accumulated black wire. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So negative emotion has a very, very deep connection with what do you call all the obstacles which come in our life with the tamaguna, right? With the second force, all the obstacles which come, because we keep on sowing the seed and inviting the obstacle, right? So it's very important to work with negative emotions, to work with reactions in life. Right? So, but here now we have come to a state where there are glimpses of the third force. And once we know where the third force is going, we know how a little bit of third force can neutralize all the negative force. Can you understand? A little bit of third force can neutralize all the negative force. The next stage, 4, is the ego at peace. And at this state of peace, the ego has reached a sort of inner equilibrium. It has certainly been able to complement all the opposites of life, right? And in that, it remains at an inner state of peace. This is the stage where we start digesting impressions. So self-observation starts at this stage. So that is why many times I tell people that, sorry, not self-observation, self-remembering starts at this stage. Self-remembering. That is why I tell many people that don't run after self-remembering. Right? Understand what is the equilibrium of the ego. And just observe wherever you're going into an extreme. Supposing she praises me, then I see myself expanding into an extreme. Just bring yourself back. Right? And she tells me something which I don't like, and I see I'm going negative, and I just bring myself back. So I don't disturb the peace of the ego. The ego is at peace. The nafs is at peace. It is like in a circus, you go and there's a tightrope walker and he has a stick in his hand. And each moment he has to come back into the middle. And the middle is not a fixed path. Huh? Don't think the middle is a fixed path. Right? Here he has swung over here and come back. But when he's over here, this may be the middle and that may be this thing. Can you get what I'm trying to say? So the middle is changing every moment, but he goes from one end of the pendulum to the other end and he keeps coming back in the middle. Before we practice self-remembering, if we have for a long time practiced just coming into the middle, then self-remembering will become very easy. It will start happening on its own as if it is a spontaneous thing within us. Just the art of going in the circus, right? So, my father was a very famous surgeon in Veraval. So, at that time, for the first time, a big circus had come. I'm talking 1964, 65. Had come in Veraval. And the day the circus came, the owner's daughter fell very ill. And so the owner brought her, it was an emergency appendix operation. So my father did the operation. And so the next day, the owner came and gave all the hospital staff and all of us, what do you call, tickets to the first, what do you call, show. So we were all sitting in the first row over there. And the elephant came right near me, and only near me it wanted to do susu. Right, I remember that so clearly. I was sitting there in the first row. Right, so the circus can be a bad experience sometimes. So, but we learn to walk the tightrope. And this is the real art of living. Forget any other art of living. This is the real art of living. Each moment can you come back in the middle. Each moment can you come back in the middle. If we've learned this, then we've learned everything. We've learned everything, right? So, so coming back in the middle is actually remaining in the present moment for more and more time. And as we remain in the present moment for more time, we are able to divide the attention for self-remembering, right? So remaining at peace means also remaining contented, remaining contented, right? Now, the action of the vivek, the conscience, and our effort in tightrope walking, every time coming back in the middle, leads to a state in our life where there are no more any contradictions in life. Everything is complementary. Can you see when two people meet, there is love? After a few months, from here, contradictions will start coming out. From here, contradictions start coming out. And if they both try to walk the path after 5-10 years of marriage or 12 years of marriage, slowly all the contradictions come into complementary. They become complementary. It takes hard work, right? And they have to realize this of each other, right? That every contradiction can be made complementary. So here in this state, when we learn to always come back into the middle, there's now no contradiction left in life. Everything is complementary, right? And in that state, when things are complementary, when two people have come to a state where there is absolutely no disagreement on anything, can you see? So totally, then real love flowers in that relationship for the first time. But as long as there are contradictions, right? And then contradictions lead to arguments, right? And etc. Now, something is going to happen in this state, the fourth state. The old is going to go and the new is going to be born. That means all our old conditionings, all the old structure, which till now Mr. Tavaria had said was like steel, suddenly we will see that it is crumbling and a new conscious structure is coming into state. So there'll be an inner feeling that something is dying and something is being born at the same time. It's as if it is happening simultaneously, each moment in our life. Each moment we come, we see that previously we would have faced this moment with this old structure, and we see the crumbling of that old structure, and we see the new is born and the new action is born in the moment. So this is a kind of spiritual rebirth. All the old patterns and everything sort of disintegrate here. We forgot that the last one, number 3, we were at 24 laws, and here now we are at 12 laws. Now here in this 12 laws, every act of life brings some kind of understanding. Every act of life, not a moment goes by without our understanding increasing. And because the understanding increases, there is a kind of inner blissfulness, a kind of inner joy, right? And many times that joy does not match with the event of life, and so there he has to become an actor in that event of life, because even in somebody's death he will get some new understanding, some new angle of truth will open up, and that itself will bring some inner joy, but he has to act, he has to cry or whatever he has to do. Now here there is only one obstacle, is that if that person is in a hurry to become a teacher, right? If that person is in a hurry to become a teacher, and one must look at that. That is the only thing which pulls us back in this state. The fifth state is the pleased nerves. Now we were at peace in each moment of life. Now each moment of life is pleasing. It is giving us joy, each moment of life, not just peace. Now we had, in the old state, we brought ourselves into the middle in balance. In this state, we are grounded in balance. We are living in balance. Now here in this state, suddenly the heart opens up. And so when the heart opens up, so many things start transforming in our lives. In the heart, there are so many small brains, so many small chakras, which all start opening up at the same time. And as if our whole subtle body is separated and it is looking at this body, but not only looking at its body, but it is sharing the fragrance, sharing its perfume. The essence is now sharing its perfume. You know, Krishna tells Arjun, Kirtikar Arjuna, do something to become famous. So the normal thing is that I get my name, what do you call, in the papers, become famous. He's not talking about that. He's saying that let the perfume of your subtle body spread in every direction. That is what he's trying to tell. That is what he calls a kirti. For us, kirti is fame. But here he's saying let the perfume of the subtle body spread in every direction. Now, once the heart opens up, it gives us 6 siddhis. 6 siddhis. The first is continual gratitude. Joyfulness, patience, firmness without becoming hard, right? And a kind of flowing love which is flowing all the time. And here, for the first time, we experience what is called the indivisible I. Now, in this state, the obstacle is joy. You have to sacrifice the joy of remaining in this state. So this is the state of what we call spiritual intoxication. Like someone can get intoxicated by having a peg of whiskey or something, right? Here now he's intoxicated with joy, this person. And there's a spiritual intoxication. And that is the only drawback which will not allow him to go higher. He has to sacrifice the joy to move to a higher state. And the next level is the pleasing nerves. He went from peace to being joyful, and now he shares that joy with everyone. He wants to please others. He wants others to be happy. He wants others to be joyful. And so he shares what he has. Now, in this state, good manners and all is not something which you learn.
There is a sense of totality, of cleanness. And what is absent when you are complete?
It's a life.
What is absent when you are complete? Desire and expectation. Desire and expectation. So in this state, whoever that person means, he shares all with that person, but there is no expectation from the other. There is no desire from the other. Because it's such a total state that, right? Now he has come into what do you call? Three laws, six laws to three laws.
We see that now passive force is completely dissolved. Can we say that passive force is completely dissolved in the state?
Each moment he complements the passive. If somebody gets angry or he complements. The body no longer is passive. And here now a new thirst grows up. And he has seen the truth from a certain dimension. Now, is it possible to see the truth from some other dimension? From some other dimension? But truth is multi-dimensional. And he enriches this state by trying to look at the truth from different angles, different ways.
So they call this the state of the marriage with the soul with the spirit. Marriage of the soul with the spirit. And here there is even the real I has gone. The real I is also an illusion over there. And then just what remains is the pure ego, the pure spirit, right? The last state, right? Jalaluddin Rumi has written about this state. If you could get rid of yourself just once, if you could get rid of yourself, your personal will, your personal desires, your personal ego, just once, the secret of secrets would open to you. The face of the unknown, that which is behind so many veils, that face, you lift all the veils. Hidden beyond the universe would appear on the mirror of your perception. Your perception would reflect that face of God. Right? So we'll stop over here. We went through it very fast, right? So yeah.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Starting માં તમે જે સોફ્ટવેર રીતના સોફ્ટવેર વાત કરી તો એમાં જે બીજો પાર્ટ છે રિલેટિવ
It is where you try to look for what function this person is fulfilling. Sometimes it is very difficult. Right? Supposing you see one person murder another person, how will you see it on the scale of relativity?
That there has to be certain structure in his mind which made all the impressions in such a way that he had to conduct this act.
The moon might be
Huh?
moon might be needing these flames are
Supposing she insults me and gives me all kinds of names and bad words and all, right? And you see she's big and powerful. I can't say anything to her. If I go to fight with her, she'll give me one and let me win. Huh? What do I do? I hold on to that aggressiveness, that violence inside. Am I throwing it out in my thoughts every second? Right? And like me, would there be many more people in this, what do you call? Can you see? And what happens to all those thoughts of, I want to hit her, but definitely I can't hit her. She goes to the gym and all that. And I, poor guy, have soft muscles, right? So, what do I do? You tell me, I throw out these thoughts of violence. Can you get it? And so many other people are throwing out thoughts of violence. And supposing all those thoughts suddenly crystallize, everybody say, 100,000 people's thoughts crystallize. Definitely so many people are throwing out negative thoughts, right? And they become that person's one thought and he goes and murders them. How will I look at it? Will I say he murdered him? Or will I say maybe also I have a partnership in that? Can you see what I'm trying to say? Suddenly, now I see things on a different scale. You see, that thought worked through him. That thought worked through him. But definitely everybody is responsible. He is not the only person responsible. Of course, according to law, he is responsible. But now the vision opens up and we see things on a totally different scale of relativity. And there is compassion inside because of the repetition of that thought, because of the action of that thought, his chains have increased or not. So we see the relativity of his soul towards freedom. And suddenly we see that now maybe 100 lifetimes more or 200 lifetimes more, he will have to keep on going through the same, what do you call, can you see? And there's an inner state of compassion. What we are looking for in that state where the heart opens up. Can you see? Now, so initially I would compare that I'm not a person who would go and murder someone. Definitely I'm not a person who will go and murder, and he is a person who has gone and murdered someone. But suddenly in that state, everything is liquid. He has maybe murdered him because of my thought only. Who has murdered him? Can you understand? So,
it is all about if I understand in this way that anything that is coming into my consciousness which is negative, it's all about me also being responsible for it to come into my consciousness.
if I give it more momentum, I have a negative pattern inside. You have said something negative to me. That negative pattern comes from outside and makes me angry. I act in that anger. So one negative pattern has become two. Have I increased the violence in the world or have I decreased the violence in the world? Just tell me. Supposing there's a big lake, one lake of violence and one lake of non-violence. So have I added a drop in this lake or have I added a drop in that lake? But if I become conscious then, right, I don't allow myself to express that. And a point comes where the pattern disintegrates. Then I've reduced one drop from the violence. And this is right action. This is better than social work. Just see,
Many years ago, one girl was raped in India. And the whole country was, no rape, no rape. Were they doing it with peace and quiet? Or were they throwing out negativity? So is that aggression going to get together and rape somebody else, or is it going to stop the rape? If they sat in meditation, if they sat in silence, if for this 1 hour we don't want to throw out any negative thoughts, then that would have been right actually. Actually, one of our groups, she phoned me, today there's a big, what do you call it, Delhi, and I'm taking part in it. I said, just stay at home and
She must have thought you will be appreciating it, the family.
How come you're sitting there? You have to compliment.
I think once you said about the crowd emotion and crowd mentality. Crowd in
What is crowd karma? So how does it work? How does it work? It multiplies.
Same way that people were agitating, they multiplied the
Intensity.
Can you see if I'm watching a cricket match and my favorite batsman gets out and I get very upset, but I'm not the person getting, only person getting upset. There may be 1 lakh people getting upset at the same time. So that negativity which goes to become my karma is multiplied by 1 lakh. The intensity is, that is, so in crowd karma we have to be very careful where we take part in crowd.
We have this pandemic, so it was maybe a part of the crowd. So many people have died.
So many people died, but so many people were in fear. So many people were negative, right? So many people only thought about themselves. So that negativity. See, any pandemic can also become a stepping stone for something. It doesn't have to lead us to negativity. With right understanding, it can lead to something much higher. And if you can reach into the heart, then the pandemic can never come again. But if you throw the wrong seeds, then we are inviting some other pandemic.
Rajan has a statement about Tavagyaji, which Prashant Bhai recently posted, that you need equal amount of negative force and positive force for the energy to rise up the spine.
Yeah, but that he's not talking about negative emotions. He's talking about a negative pole of electricity. That negative pole is called Ida and Pingla. Negative and positive pole is called Ida and Pingla. And when Ida and Pingla balance, then the energy rises up the spine. Don't mix that negativity with negative emotions. That is the negative pole of electricity. Something totally different. Prana is electricity, prana is magnetism. The negative pole of prana is magnetism, the positive pole of prana is electricity. And we balance both the poles. And that creates a magnetic force which escapes gravity. Magnetism gives the prana a chance to escape from gravity. And that is why the prana starts rising up the sushumna in that state. I don't even know if Prashant Bhai knew what he was writing about. One day somebody must have written to Tavaria Sahib that
For so many years, I was on drinks and on call girls and all that. And these refining exercises transformed my life. So for 45 years, I was drinking the whole day. And then he writes, I must have finished so many bottles and I must have gone to so many call girls and all that. And I thank you for my refining exercise. So Prashant, he cut that in half.
The thinking part was
And he published it in 2 episodes. Then he forgot to write the name of the guy who had written it. He wrote S.N. Tavaria. So on Facebook it came that Mr. What that this I'm talking real. Somebody came to meet me that day and he says, I'm very happy today. I said, what are you happy? He said, Mr. Tavaria was a drunkard like me. He used to go to call girls like me. So I'm saying, Mr. Tavaria, drunkard. Mr. Tavaria going to call girls. So then I went and found out what Prashant had written. And he wrote half the episode that I was going to call girls, I was going to this. I earned a lot of money so I could do all this. And I was drinking and drinking till I was 45. And then it stopped over there. I said, now next part was to be published the next day. I mean, I couldn't get over it for so many days. I was always drinking till 40. So this is what happens in publishing. Careful.
One consolation is that Prashant made them drunkard for a moment happy.
You talked about coming back from the negative emotion. So, how can we, see that I have come back from that and I have come into the middle state? How can we?
From the extreme.
Yeah, from that state.
It is through being conscious about it, right? Just now you suddenly see that you're being seduced into anger. You come back. Suddenly somebody is praising you, you find you're being seduced into happiness. Again you come back. You get some good news and suddenly you're very happy and you realize, I don't want to go to next week. You come back. Right? So it's just bringing the mind into equilibrium.
But how can we confirm that I have came back? So,
Start practicing. Start practicing. No. Don't confirm. Don't confirm. Experience it. Start practicing. We don't want to confirm anything. Shall we stop over here?
Sir, if we have
Yeah.
to summarize these days in the camp from we started the camp on 25th and now we are entering the camp. And if I have to sleep in my mind, I have to summarize what did I really learn. And if I summarize that, if I tell myself it was more, I have learned, what I feel I have learned is that observation, observe your thoughts as much without being judgmental about it. Would it be the right?
Yeah, very good.
Would you add something to it? Would you add something to it? Because I want to have something which take home.
Yeah, so observe them and come back in the
Next camp.
middle or next camp.
Know where you are.
Come back in the Yes, I would like you to come back in the next. Very nice.
Sir, now it's not going to be possible for me to not come back. Only the language is repeat facilitation.
But do something for yourself,
Yes, sir.
right? Something which you like to do, something which gives you the enjoyment of life. The soul takes birth for consciousness, right? But the soul also has another smaller aim, and that is to enjoy life. Can you get what I'm trying to say?
Sir, I don't know, but how you are understanding that, because I don't know how it's come to you.
Please enjoy life. Please enjoy life. Enjoy the small things in life. Make a dish for yourself, enjoy it. Watch some detective serial on TV, enjoy it. Right? Do some small things. Enjoy it. You know, when we were in BA, I was studying in Bombay, doing my BA in Bombay. So in BA, we had two subjects, the main subject and the subsidiary subject. So the main subject of the soul is consciousness. The subsidiary subject is enjoy life.